Hello there, folks. Time to visit CSSBattle.dev and do the daily target. And the target today is kind of a file folder affair happening there. All right. How do we make it? How do we do it? I think it's probably the most straightforward is 2 paragraph elements. So we put this what is it, very deep green on the background. Rate. And then we need to do these 2 parts. And can we do it? Let's just see. I kind of want to do 2 flex items. And then what's that look like? Let's do display flex on the body. You know, we don't always have to do stuff that's particularly smart. It's all good. Give it height and width, 50. Okay. So, to create this shape, we have 2 elements here, right? And we're going to need to have a second element, so we'll call it P plus P. And that one's going to be just slightly different from the other one. And let's do background. There, so there they are. All right, so there's the diff. Now we need to put some margins on this guy. Margin 30, 2, 3, 4, 34, and then what, 100? How about 90? Yeah, 90. And then we need a different width there. How about 100? 100 is too much. 70? 70 looks right. And then the height, 200. That's our first element. Okay, so a width is actually probably 140 because that looks half what it needs to be. Actually, no, it's 140, 50, 60. Oh, and then let's give this a short width because what's happening. So in terms of why this layout is doing what it's doing. That flex context without a wrap is stretching things out and forcing things to be skinnier than we tell it to be because, hey, this is flex. It's all got to be together. So I need to give it an artificially low number so that I only have the width that I need. And that's 40, 30, 40, 140. And then this width is 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. All right, so we have a background, which is a linear gradient, which is going to be, let's see, 10 pixels solid. No, that's not right. What am I doing? It's got to be transparent. 20 pixels, and then this color. 0. Then we push it down. We'll give it a variable. So we say 0 and then var 0 var S for start, let's say. And that start for the first one is like 30 pixels. 30, 40, 50, 60. Is that right? Yeah, and then the second one, that start is a little different, but we need to get the border radius correct. Border radius. Oh, I have, yeah, border radius of, let's say, 20 pixels. 20 pixels, 0, and that seems to be correct. Yeah, that's what I want. So 3 values, and it's doing these guys. So then the second one is border radius 0, 20 pixels, 20 pixels, 0. Okay. And then that background, we set it. And then, so we don't have any margins on this guy. And we need that curve. So we need the height to be a little bit different. Height 1 40. And then we can set what a align items, and there it is. So let's give it more height. So align items is what's forcing those to be at the bottom. Now, obviously, the code golf quality of this is it's marginal, but I've decided to go flex, and so this is a little bit of flex, right? Like that's what's going on. So let's set a S value. S is what, 30 pixels maybe? Yeah, 30 is correct. And that's my guy. Height 140, width 80. Yeah, then that's fine. It's, you know, it's not the most efficient code in the world. Okay, let's just stipulate that. So let's go let's minify unit replace, get the final number on that guy, and then let's rethink, you know, how to make this. So that said, 630 is not too bad of a score for a first pass without any, you know, super optimizations. Let's go backwards. Undo. And we're going to keep what we had there. And what I want to do is what? I want to... So instead of this messing around with... border radius 20 pixels 0, just say 20 pixels, and then let's not do display flex. Let's not have the align items. Let's put some margins here, and so let's create the first part of this. And what we'll do the wider part first. Let's do that. Okay, so 3490. So let's go 40. How about 50? 50 is correct. And how about 100? 80. 82. And I want to do the wider part, so I actually need to push this down more. 6, 7, 8. 80, 82, and then the height is less. 180 or 170. And then, where are we at? Oh, we want to kill one of those. I don't need this width. Boom. So there's thing one. We might still use this style. Let me get there to that. Oh, and I think I probably, so the the prior solution had more optimizations to make. That I missed that background pink, I think, and that probably wouldn't have minified with my tool. All right, so here's the second one. He's going to have some different margins. P plus P. Margin minus 100. There it is. 2, 3, 280. And then I have different numbers: 200, 0, 100. So this is what we're getting at here. So that's going to be 90, I think. 90. Nope. 80. Nope. 82. Yeah, of course, 82. We knew that. 170. 160. 162. All right, and then let's set an S value. And I think we need to actually not have this be transparent. We actually need the color. Otherwise, it's going to show through. Something's jumping out. Oh, because we need an S value of 30 pixels. 40, 50, 60. Are we close? We're close. That value is going to be less. How about 30? There it is. So that's a little cleaner. Actually, that's a lot cleaner. Display flex is great. It's great for layouts. It's great for having a lot more control over alignment of objects that you're going to flow into a context. For our code our code purposes, it's less efficient. So let's minify, unit replace, and I think we can change that to an ampersand, and submit for a final answer, final score rather, from the back end. And yeah, that's a much better score. Let's go back and look at what we left in on that prior one. This prior one. That's the one. Okay, so we left in a background pink. 2 backgrounds. And so there are likely other things to remove in this solution that are not very efficient. But that said, we simplified it a great deal on our second run. But let's submit that for final of that one. Let's see if we get any closer to 674. Yeah, 637. All right, back here to 674. This is clearly the better solution. Just a bit of margins and a bit of different look and feel. The other thing we could do, so we've got this linear gradient that we're setting a variable on, but if we set the linear gradient instead to come from the bottom, we don't need the variable. We could say linear gradient to top orange, and then I'm going to clobber the rest of this code and say red. Linear gradient to top, comma. So there it is. So and then we need to give it a value. How about 100 pixels? And then set a 0. And we don't want red, obviously. Comma, and then that orange again. Oh, interestingly, why is that doing that? I feel like I'm misunderstanding the elements here, and that's bumming me out. So to top should have these show up in exactly the same place, and they're not. What am I doing wrong? Is that so 0 degrees, 180 degrees, because to me the height of that's not 100 pixels. What am I doing wrong there? I actually don't know what I'm doing wrong there. I got my border radius. That linear gradient, it goes from the top. So let's do red. No, that is not doing what I think it's going to do. So in theory, if they're both coming from the top, this color stop should be identical, and it is not, and I don't see why. I'm gonna have to play with that a little bit more because it's bothering me. And I don't have confidence I'm going to sort it out on this particular recording, because I don't have any changes on this second one. It's just the margin. I don't have... Oh, wait a minute. I didn't set a different height. Why is that working? Ah, that's interesting. So the second one is taller. And now they're in alignment. So I had the height wrong because the margins were, again, stretching against. The margins were forcing that element not to be as tall as I was telling it to be. if I'm understanding that right, and I might not be. But now that stripe is behaving the way I expect it to. $110. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. So a reminder that when manipulating margins and making things go up against a margin context, you might get an element to not behave according to the height that you set. And I think that's a good lesson to remember. Always be double checking that. Yeah, that's fun. That's fun. And then there's our final for that iteration. Not as good a solution. So that was fun. That's a good one. I enjoyed that. Hope you're having a good day out there. Hope you're taking care of yourself, and go make a webpage. Be good to each other. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves, and bye.